your American dream?
I think I have more of a global dream. I like the vision in Star Trek where there are no more borders and boundaries, and like everybody is of Earth. I kind of think these boundaries that we have that separate us and that make us feel like we are different from our neighbors, or there has been a place for them in the past, but I don't know that there's a place for them in the future. I think the vision that I see for the world is one where we are all treating the planet as our home. Like that's our home. These arbitrary borders that were often stolen, often like conquered in a really horrible way. That's not the thing that defines us. It's our humanity that defines us.
Everyone has a right to the American dream.
Groundhog Sam! Oh yeah, let's check out my Groundhog Sam Instagram page. Oh, that was me at the Mets game. They wouldn't let me burrow on the field. That was fun. Me at Puerto Rican Day Parade. Oh, chocolate. That was delicious. Oh, look at that. My good buddy Gibby the Groundhog's following me. Oh, hi, Gibby. Oh, Gibby. He and I go way, way back. Ha 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 ha. I'll have to follow him too. Follow me with my best friend and hero, Mr. Brad Bernstein. Oh, hello everybody. I didn't even see you there. I was looking at my Instagram page. But you know, you can follow more than just little old me. You can also like and subscribe to Brad Show Live on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. Do we call it Twitter now, or is it X? And Instagram. And now, an even more exciting news. You can subscribe to @RealBradBernstein on Instagram and be guaranteed that Brad will read your question and answer it in a personalized video for you. And speaking of the real Brad Bernstein, now is the time we have all been waiting for. It's time for Brad Show Live, starring Brad Bernstein. Enjoy it.
Welcome, everybody. It's Brad Show Live. I am live. It is Monday, July 24th, 2023. We're deep into the summer. But before I start the show, I got to say hello to all our squaddies and friends. Earth Angel Pert, squad up. How are you? Daryl Winnabat, squad up. Elizabeth Francis, my dear, squad up. Sem St. Martin saying hi, Brad. How are you? Elsia McPherson, squad up. Dion, squad up. Baba Oil, squad up, my man. S. Angwo Tajo, I hope I pronounced your name right. Saying hello, Brad. Hello, how are you? And our first Schmooze question of the day comes from Wasim Al-Sawala. Hey, Brad, I miss you. Brad, please tell us if there's hope to reduce the backlog in the next couple months. Well, nobody knows for sure. If you're talking about the visa bulletin backlog, nobody knows 100% for sure. But come October, there's a new government fiscal year, which means a whole new set of green cards become available. And it's usually October, November, December, January, where the visa bulletin moves much faster. If you're just talking about general backlog and malaise at the Immigration Service and the National Visa Center and the U.S. Embassy, I don't think there's much hope in the next few months. They've got a huge backlog still to cover. But in terms of visa bulletin pushing the priority dates forward, probably October, November, December. That's usually when it happens. Vanessa Lewis saying, hey, Brad, how are you? Ishan saying, hi, we are waiting. Well, I'm here. How are you? Earl Monteque, when you field, I don't know what you're asking, Earl. Mohammed with a pre-schmooze question of the day. Hey, Brad, it's 55 days since USCIS received my request for more evidence, the medical, which is the I-693 for my I-45 based on asylum, and no decision yet. Can I sue them? What are my options? I'm tired of waiting. You're anxious to sue. 55 days. I know you're waiting a long time. You're right at the end. Immigration Service has, by rules and regulations, 120 days to make a decision after an RFE. So you are nowhere near suing them yet. And on day 121, it's hard to say they violated your rights after one day. But generally, if it's just the medical, I would assume between now and the next couple of months, you're going to be done. If the end of the winter happens, and we're talking now March, April of next year, and they still haven't given you your green card, ask me that same question again. I may give you a different answer. Ray McPherson, how are you? Squad up, how are you? Ray, that was Alcia McPherson. She's saying, Ray, it's time again. I'm calling you Ray McPherson. I read it way too fast. Lola, squad up, how are you? And Paz 335I also with a pre-schmooze question of the day. Hey, so me and my wife are going to the green card process, and she's overstayed her J1 visa. We have an attorney, and the attorney says she's able to work and use her social after 6 months. Well, if you're a U.S. citizen, the fact that she works and uses her social after one day is not going to prevent her from getting a green card. So I don't know where 6 months came from. If she has a social security number and you're a U.S. citizen, you're filing an adjustment, let her work, let her pay taxes. Why not? It's not going to prevent her from getting a green card. She should get a work permit in about 6 months or so. Maybe that's what the attorney was saying. I think I said hello to Dion, but I'll say squad up again. How are you? Jessica Leamy, squad up. And Vanessa Lewis, also with a pre-schmooze question of the day. Hey, Brad, I got married to a green card holder, but entered the United States on an H-2B visa. My case got denied because it wasn't filed properly. However, my husband has been abusive for 2 years. What could I do? What can you do? Two things. One, get out of there. Who needs to stay with an abusive spouse? There's no requirement for you to stay with an abusive spouse. No one deserves to stay with an abusive spouse. And quite frankly, you're going to get a green card whether you live there or not if you file an abuse spouse case. So I'd file a VAWA immediately and I'd move out because no one deserves to be abused, period. No matter what the reasons. Abuse there's no reason for it ever. So move out. That man doesn't deserve for you to be around. And then we're going to file a VAWA and get you a green card. Eleanor Brown saying good day to Groundhog Sam. Groundhog Sam getting a little love from Eleanor Brown. And Daryl Winnebaugh also with a pre-schmooze question of the day. I'm at school as an F1 student, but can I work with my approved work permit from the I-485? If you filed an I-45, you are no longer an F1 student. You are a pending I-45. So, yeah, go work because you're no longer on a student visa. You're on a pending adjustment. So go for it. Claudette Heath, squad up. Rhonda Abrams saying, hello, Mr. Brad. Hello, Rhonda. I did not overlook Jessica Leamy. I said hello to her. I said squad up. Baba Oil with a pre-schmooze question of the day. I am at school as an F1 student, but can I work with my approved work permit? Yes, I think I just answered that. Somebody else just asked that question. I don't know if that was you. Clifford Gordon, up. Also squad up. He's up and squad up. Pim with a pre-comment of the day. Hey, Sir Brad, thanks for being so amazing. Your advice surely helped my son. Thank you, Pim. And Delicious says, hi, Brad. My son got married to a U.S. citizen and about to do his paperwork, but he wants to do an I-130 for his 11-year-old daughter in Jamaica, but she did not get his last name. Her mom gave her another man's name. Well, as long as your son marries a U.S. citizen spouse, that U.S. citizen spouse is going to file as a stepmother. And to get approved as a stepmother, you need to show two things. One, the marriage happened before the daughter turned 18, which is the case. And two, you're the biological father. And how do you prove you're the biological father? You'll end up taking a DNA test. And if the DNA test comes back that you're the dad and it's done through immigration, that case is going to get approved no matter what man's name is on the birth certificate. Dion Reed, way up. Oh my God, this is such a big question. You only basically get to see my forehead. Let me see if I can kind of get above this question here. Hi, sir. Good afternoon. I came to the USA on a B2 visa in 2015 and applied for asylum. Due to backlog of asylum case, I applied for EB3. I filed a labor cert at I-140. I-140 was approved, and then I-45 filed January 2023. But same case, my friend got denied letter. He and me came same time and applied for asylum same time, but he applied EB3 before me. In his decision letter, USCIS mentions asylum is not a legal status. Well, there's case law that says asylum is a legal status. So I disagree. And maybe you should have a consultation with me. Excuse me. Latoya Hall. Hello, good day. I came through the border and got paroled. I'm in New York. Safe to go to Florida to get married? Yes, it is. Go to Florida and get married. Governor Ron DeSantis is not immigration. He can't do much to you. He can scare you in the news, but he can't do much to you otherwise other than that. Susik Roa saying, good morning from Dubai. I like Dubai. Dubai is a very fun city and must be very hot there, like scorching hot in Dubai. And you're in the middle of a desert in the middle of the summer. Wow. I hope you have air conditioning. We'll do one more pre-schmooze question of the day before we get into our schmooze. And this comes from Andrea MC. And Andrea MC says, hi, Brad. I'm a U.S. citizen. How long does it take to file for my siblings in Jamaica? Also, if one is a British citizen, doesn't matter whether they're in Jamaica, whether they're a British citizen. Unfortunately, it's going to take over a decade, probably closer to 15 years. All right. So to get on our show, the number scrolling at the bottom of the screen, 1-800-529-5465. Guess what? That is also the telephone number to call to schedule a consultation with me, 1-800-529-5465. Squad, do me a favor. If anyone asks what's the telephone number, please just leave in the comments as the show is going on. Read the bottom of the screen. It's scrolling there the entire time. You could also call 212-227-8933 if you are international. You can also send us a message on our website at www.lawsb.com. You send us a message either in the contact us section or by text, and you want us to contact you by WhatsApp, just leave your WhatsApp telephone number, and we will get back to you on WhatsApp. So there's lots of ways to reach us, all from around the world and from within the United States. A little later in the show, we're going to be getting to the meat and potatoes of the show, the dinner time portion of the show, where you get to call me and speak to me, and I answer all your immigration questions. We do have a few lines still open. So if you call now, you will get on our show, 1-800-529-5465, international 212-227-8933. But right now, let's get into some immigration schmooze. Let's do it. All right, so we always discuss the problems of immigration case backlogs. Well, this year, a new backlog has been created for permanent resident visas for priests and other religious workers. Can you imagine now priests have to wait for a green card? And that backlog only happens after they were here in the United States on an R visa for 2 years, working on a work visa, then apply for a green card, and then guess what? They're in a backlog, and then the R visas expire, and then they still aren't eligible for a green card. And a lot of priests now are having to leave the United States. Olga Rojas, an immigration counsel for the Archdiocese of Chicago, and who works with priests, religious sisters and brothers, and other religious workers who want to come and minister in the Archdiocese, say some people are leaving the United States for a year or sometimes longer than having to reapply for a new temporary visa while they wait on their applications for their green cards. Father Daniel Villabolas, a native of Columbia, has served as associate pastor of St. Michael Parish in Orland Park, Illinois, since he was ordained in 2021. He is now facing the problem of being unable to get his permanent residency visa processed before his temporary religious worker visa runs out. Villabolas says you have to leave your community, sometimes leave parishes without a priest. If they plan to continue to minister in the United States, they apply for permanent residence status after having an R visa. And for such status, the State Department lists religious workers in a category that also includes people who have worked for the United States abroad, employees of international organizations, some broadcasters, special immigrant juveniles, and all of these different various groups are all lumped together and only get 10,000 green cards a year. And then there's sometimes quotas from certain countries, China, India, Mexico, Philippines, that even push people back further. According to the State Department Visa Bulletin, as of the beginning of July, green cards for religious workers, for priests, for ministers, for pastors who filed their paperwork before September 1st, 2018, they are now eligible for their green cards. So we are talking about perhaps a 4 or 5 year wait. And this also applies, by the way, to special immigrant juveniles who are also in the same category. So special immigrant juveniles also may not be eligible to obtain their green cards for several years. So it's a big, 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 big problem. Now, if you're a religious worker in the United States and your temporary visa is going to be running out soon, you're a special immigrant juvenile, you can give us a call, or you are a guardian of a special immigrant juvenile. You can give us a call and we can discuss how we can figure out other possibilities. And unpublished government data obtained by CBS News shows that the Biden administration has welcomed over 500,000 migrants under programs designed to reduce illegal border entries or offer a safe haven to refugees, using a 1950s law to launch the largest expansion of legal immigration in modern United States history. In less than 2 years, the Biden administration has allowed at least 541,000 immigrants to enter the United States through something called Parole authority, which gives federal officials the power to authorize the entry of foreigners who lack visas, according to internal government statistics. This unprecedented use of the Parole authority has allowed officials to divert migration away from the southern border by offering would-be migrants a legal and safe alternative to journeying to the United States with the help of smugglers and entering the country unlawfully. It has also given the Biden administration a faster way to resettle refugees as it attempts to rebuild a resettlement system gutted by Donald Trump. The data shows that Parole Authority has welcomed roughly 168,400 Latin Americans and Caribbean immigrants with U.S. sponsors, 141,200 Ukrainian refugees sponsored by Americans, 133,000 asylum seekers who waited for an appointment in Mexico, 77,000 Afghan evacuees, and an additional 22,000 Ukrainians processed at the U.S. southern border. Taken together, the immigration parole programs created by the Biden administration amount to the most significant expansion of legal immigration in 3 decades, without explicit consent from Congress. Congress has not authorized this. Congress has actually not authorized any expansion in immigration since 1990. Now, to come live and work in the United States legally, immigrants generally must have a visa or approved refugee status. But this law for parole, dating back to 1952, allows officials to use this parole authority to admit those who don't have visas if doing so furthers an urgent humanitarian cause or significant public benefit. While it does not make migrants eligible for permanent status or citizenship, parole gives them the ability to live and work in the U.S. legally, typically for 1 or 2 year increments that can be renewed. Doris Meisner, a top U.S. immigration official during the Reagan and Clinton administrations, said during the Cold War, Republican and Democratic administrations paroled hundreds of thousands of refugees fleeing communism in Cuba, Eastern Europe, and Southeast Asia. But Meisner said that the Biden administration's use of parole is historic. At this scale, in this time period, she says, it is unprecedented. The Biden administration's first large-scale use of parole occurred in the summer of 2021, when it invoked the law to resettle tens of thousands of Afghans after a massive airlift from Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. Then in early 2022, the administration used the parole authority to process thousands of Ukrainians who had flown to the U.S.-Mexico border in the early days of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. To discourage future Ukrainian arrivals along the southern border, a program known as Uniting for Ukraine was created to allow Ukrainians to fly directly to the United States to receive parole if they have American sponsors. In October 2022, the administration created another sponsorship-based parole program based on the Ukrainian model for Venezuelan migrants who are crossing the U.S.-Mexico border in record numbers. That program was expanded in January to include migrants from Cuba, Haiti, and Nicaragua, and to deter illegal border crossings by citizens of those crisis-stricken countries. That same month, the U.S. started allowing migrants in Mexico to use a mobile app known as CBP-1 to request an opportunity to enter the country at a legal port of entry. Those allowed into the United States under this process are generally paroled for 1 or 2 years and given a hearing in immigration court where they can request asylum. The Biden administration has also used parole to welcome deported U.S. military veterans, migrant families separated under the Trump administration, at-risk Central American minors with family members in the United States, and Cubans and Haitians with American relatives. We have seen this with 3 of our own guests who have come back to the United States under the Biden administration. Laura Meza, deported U.S. Army veteran; Alejandro Juarez, deported wife of a U.S. Marine and mother of 2 U.S.-born children; and Jean Montreville, a deported Haitian activist and father of 4 American-born children. The program powered by the CBP-1 app currently allows up to 529,250 people to be processed each year, while the sponsorship program for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans has an annual ceiling of 360,000 arrivals. The Uniting for Ukraine policy has no cap. The Biden administration also implemented a program that will allow migrants from Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras to enter the U.S. under the parole authority if the government has approved visa petitions filed by their U.S. citizen or resident relatives. Officials have credited the CBP-1 app and program for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans, as well as stricter asylum rules for a dramatic drop in illegal crossings along the southern border. In fact, according to government data, monthly illegal crossings dropped to the lowest level in 2 years in June, falling under 100,000 for the first time in that period. Ironic because despite these numbers, House Republicans slammed Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas for dereliction of duty at the border in a 111-page report released July 19th, gearing up for an impeachment inquiry, describing Mayorkas as the chief architect of the illegal immigration crisis that Americans have suffered through since January 2021. But the widespread use of parole has garnered strong criticism from Republican lawmakers and state officials as well. And these Republicans have accused the Biden administration of abusing the authority and circumventing the limits Congress placed on work and immigrant visas. Senior Department of Homeland Security officials said the administration use of parole is lawful because immigration officials still make individual determinations as to whether migrants should receive parole. And officials also note that over the same period when more than 500,000 people were paroled, the U.S. deported or expelled migrants over 3 million times. It seems like the Republicans want it both ways. They don't want to pass any immigration laws to allow Biden to make the border safer and more realistic asylum rules and more realistic rules to allow people to enter the United States legally. But at the same time, as they refuse to pass any laws to allow Biden to make the process easier, smoother, more realistic in this time and age, they sit there and criticize him for doing what he can do and what he is doing, which is making the situation substantially better. And just today, the Justice Department has notified Texas that it plans to file a lawsuit, and it has filed a lawsuit over Greg Abbott's floating border barrier in the Rio Grande to deter migrants from crossing illegally. The Department of Justice sent a letter to Abbott on Thursday, July 20th, demanding that Texas remove the buoys and razor wire along the Rio Grande by today, Monday, July 24th, or legal action will be taken. The letter read, quote, "The state of Texas actions violate federal law, raise humanitarian concerns, present serious risks to public safety and the environment, and may interfere with the federal government's ability to carry out its official duties." And just a few minutes before we went on the air today, it was reported by the New York Times that the government has in fact sued the state of Texas. The Biden administration has been facing pressure to intervene in Abbott's escalating border security activities. 86 House Democrats led by San Antonio Congressman Joaquin Castro sent a letter to the Biden administration on Friday. The letter said, "We write to express our profound alarm over border policies instituted by Texas Governor Greg Abbott that are putting asylum seekers at serious risk of injury and death, interfering with federal immigration enforcement, infringing on private property rights, and violating U.S. treaty commitments with Mexico. We urge you to assert your authority over federal immigration policy and foreign relations and investigate and pursue legal action as appropriate against Governor Greg Abbott." Abbott's floating wall is part of his larger $4 billion border security initiative called Operation Lone Star, which has been testing the legal limits of a state's ability to enforce immigration policy. The Republican governor claims the Biden administration is not doing enough to stop illegal migration through Texas. Abbott said in a tweet Friday in response to the Department of Justice letter, "Texas has the sovereign authority to defend our border under the U.S. Constitution and the Texas Constitution." But again, the irony. Although there's been a dramatic drop in illegal crossings along the southern border in recent weeks, Governor Abbott claims he needs the barbed wire floats to stave off unprecedented illegal border entries. This timing simply doesn't make any sense. Quite frankly, it's a political stunt by Governor Abbott, and as the Attorney General of Texas from 2002 to 2015, and as a member of the Texas Supreme Court from 1996 to 2001, I would bet he knows that what he is doing is in violation of the U.S. Constitution. And on July 14th, Hearst newspapers reported in an email from a trooper from the Texas Department of Public Safety who wrote that the state's policies along the southern border have stepped over the line into inhumane. The trooper describes incidents in which migrants attempting to cross the border were injured by razor wire on the Texas side of the Rio Grande, as well as troopers being ordered to push groups of people, including children, back into the water and denying them water. Ben Werman, the Washington correspondent for the Houston Chronicle and the San Antonio Express News, who broke the story, told the Texas Standard that the email was sent by a trooper working in Eagle Pass. Last month, he sent it to a superior officer, raising a series of concerns that incidents he'd seen where he felt migrants were being mistreated, treated, as he said, inhumanely. That includes a case where a pregnant woman was found caught in razor wire the state had put up having a miscarriage. A 4-year-old girl had been trying to cross the wire and was pushed back by Texas National Guard soldiers. She then passed out from the heat exhaustion. Another case, a teenager broke his leg when he was trying to navigate the river to get around the razor wire and had to be carried by his father. That's just 3 cases. Woman having a miscarriage, 4-year-old girl passing out, little boy breaking his leg. The author of this email also suggested that in addition to the wire on the shore, the state has also set up traps in the river. He wrote about an instance in which he encountered a man with a cut in his leg who said he got the cut when he was trying to free his child from what he described as a barrel that was wrapped with razor wire that was in the water. And a 5th bus of asylum seekers from Texas arrived in Los Angeles on Saturday, July 22nd, as part of Texas Governor Greg Abbott's plans to transport migrants away from Texas. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass's office announced that the bus, the 5th one to arrive in the city since June 14th, arrived at 11:30 in the morning. According to the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, CHIRLA, The bus was carrying 44 people, among them 14 children between 2 and 14 years old. They hailed from Colombia, China, Haiti, Honduras, Mexico, Peru, and Venezuela. The people were taken to Cathedral High School in Chinatown, where they were examined for medical issues and provided with food. According to Churla, most of them have been united with their families, and many have already established asylum claims. In a statement condemning Abbott, who previously said his state was being overrun by thousands of people illegally crossing into Texas, Churla's executive director, Angelica Salas, said, "Actions ordered by Texas Governor Abbott against migrants and refugees are outrageous, if not criminal. We condemn the dehumanization of migrants and refugees anywhere, and we remind Governor Abbott that every life is precious and protected under the United Nations Human Rights Charter." Since June 14th, a total of 5 buses carrying migrants have arrived in Los Angeles, with the 4th bus carrying 41 people arriving in the city earlier last week on Tuesday. Advocates and council members have condemned Abbott's decision as a despicable stunt and accused him of using human beings as pawns. Last April, Abbott ordered the Texas Division of Emergency Management to transport busloads of asylum seekers to Washington, D.C. He has since added New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Denver, and Los Angeles as drop-off locations. On July 10th, Abbott tweeted the total number of people that have since been transported to other cities, including over 10,300 to Washington, D.C., over 9,500 to New York City, over 3,600 to Philadelphia, and over 250 to Denver, and lastly, 80 people to Los Angeles. And on July 17th, a settlement was finalized in federal court for the Northern District of California, ending 4 lawsuits filed against Donald Trump's administration by a coalition of attorney generals from 18 states. The lawsuits allege that the Trump administration had misappropriated taxpayer money earmarked for other purposes to pay for the construction of the southern border. According to the terms of the settlement, the money will now go to a variety of environmental remediation efforts and a handful of military construction projects. The settlement sets aside $1.1 million for monitoring several species along the U.S.-Mexico border, including the Sonoran pronghorn and Mexican gray wolf, which are both endangered, as well as ocelots, jaguars, and peninsula bighorn sheep. I hope I said all of that right, ocelots. It also sets forth plans for 4 large wildlife passages and 20 smaller passages to be built along the border barrier system to help protect species ecosystems. Additionally, it provides $25 million in funding from the Department of Homeland Security for California to purchase 1,291 acres parcel of land in southwestern San Diego County to be preserved for conservation. Finally, the settlement reallocates $427 million towards other military construction projects. Bonta sent a statement with environmental mitigation projects coming online to protect our sensitive ecosystems along the U.S.-Mexico border, and the confirmation of over $427 million in funding restored for military construction projects. Today's settlement ushers in a new era. And as police departments struggle to recruit and retain officers, some police departments are looking to a previously untapped pool of applicants to fill police job vacancies. States, including California and Colorado, have begun to pass laws that will permit non-citizens who are authorized to work in the United States to become police officers, while others, such as New Jersey, are considering similar legislation. The measure makes recipients of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program, eligible for law enforcement work. Beneficiaries of the DACA program have historically been barred from holding jobs in law enforcement because of various provisions in state laws. The DACA program, which provides protections against deportation for people who arrived in the United States without legal status before turning 16 and who have lived in the country continuously since 2007, has about 580,000 active recipients. Before changing its law last year, California required that police officers or peace officers be U.S. citizens or permanent residents. In Colorado, DACA recipients previously could not legally carry firearms. Colorado's new measure, which was signed into law by Governor Jared Polis in April, does away with that prohibition. Art Acevedo, the interim chief of police of the Aurora Police Department in Colorado, which has 71 open positions, said it's a smart policy, especially with fewer and fewer people wanting to go into law enforcement. Acevedo, who immigrated to the U.S. from Cuba with his family as a young child and headed police departments in Houston, Austin, and Miami, said a person's nation of origin should have no bearing on their suitability for a career in law enforcement. Supporters of similar measures have noted that non-citizens who are authorized to work in the United States can already serve in the military, making law enforcement work a natural extension. However, critics of such legislation say careers in law enforcement should be reserved for U.S. citizens and that non-citizens should not be able to carry firearms or possess the power to arrest citizens. Chapin Rose, a Republican member of the Illinois Senate, blasted the legislation that passed the House and Senate but have not yet been signed into law, saying during a recent hearing that I don't care where this individual is from, Australia or from wherever, they should not be able to arrest a United States citizen on United States soil. And of course, as we know, immigrants make up a large percentage of a lot of various occupations, but now immigrants also make up more than half of the more than 200,000 construction workers in New York City. And of the 200,000 construction workers in New York City, almost 40% are undocumented. But the Guardian newspaper has reported that it wasn't until the last few years that more women began joining the construction industry. The main draw to joining the construction industry? Pay. Whereas a cleaning or restaurant job might pay below minimum wage, construction work is paying $20 minimum or more an hour. Some women say they prefer construction's morning to afternoon schedule, which better aligns with their children's school days. Others see it as an opportunity to build a professional career, make more money, do something more exciting. But construction is also risky, and even more so for undocumented immigrants who often work under informal verbal agreements. And for women, being vastly outnumbered on every construction site means more pressure to accept lower pay and mistreatment. That's why as more immigrant women are entering the construction industry in New York City, advocates are training them to stand up against exploitation and to transform the construction industry. Immigrant women entering construction aren't just signs of an evolving workforce, but a changing world. Hilden Hernandez, NICE's deputy director, said that in the past, usually it was men who came to the United States first, while women would stay back home with their children. Now, as the political and economic situation gets worse, in many South American countries, more women are coming due to necessity. And compared with past immigrants, the women are more often younger, educated, and coming alone. At NICE's offices in Queens, The Guardian spoke with Nelzy Suazo, a 25-year-old immigrant from Honduras who has been living for the past year in South Brooklyn homeless shelter with her 4 children and her mother. Before coming to New York, Suazo had worked as a roofer in the small town of Jasper, Texas, as one of 2 women on a job site with as many as 80 male coworkers. They called her Mommy and Mi Amor, and they taunted her. She said she tried to ignore it, reminding herself that the weekly pay was nearly 3 times more than the $500 a week she was making working in a restaurant kitchen. But Suazo's job site also lacked proper safety equipment, including gloves, harnesses, women's sizes for safety equipment. So she often climbed ladders and walked on steep roofs without any safety equipment. Sometimes, like the men, she even worked without a helmet. One day, one of the men fell 3 stories after his foot got caught in a ladder while carrying tiles without a harness. The man survived with broken nose. It was a horrible sight, said Suazo. I felt even worse because they blamed him. The man didn't sue because he was afraid of being deported. Suazo kept silent as well, saying, I felt like I couldn't say anything because I thought I don't have any rights. Well, quite frankly, she does have rights. And quite frankly, if you do sue, you would not get deported. It would actually be a retaliation. And especially if you do sue, you should go to an attorney that handles both personal injury and immigration, like me. So we protect you on both sides of the aisle. One of the advocates trying to change, that is 35-year-old Angelica Nova, a former English teacher in Colombia. Like many other undocumented women in New York City, Nova initially tried working as a cleaner, but the harsh chemicals were too much. So she consulted NICE, which ended up training her to work in construction. She also found the lack of respect from her male coworkers, who would call her little girl or sweet little thing. But there's also a safety issue. Once, while she worked next to a male foreman on the suspended scaffolding, he asked her to stand on top of a bucket so that they could reach more areas without having to reposition the platform. Because she had already taken the safety course, Nova knew the request wasn't allowed, and she said no. Today, Nova is no longer undocumented and works as a staffer at NICE, where she's the director of training and education for immigrant workers, including a construction pre-apprenticeship program reserved for female immigrants. At NICE's offices in Jackson Heights, immigrants take classes such as a 30-hour Spanish language training on OSHA's federal safety guidelines and a 10-hour New York City-specific safety course. Advocates are hoping to create enough empowered workers that employers across the city construction industry will be forced to improve their conditions. And they see an indirect opportunity to raise safety standards for the entire industry. Every woman the Guardian spoke with for this story agreed. Female construction workers tend to take safety more seriously than men, and the numbers appear to reflect that. While New York City sees about a dozen construction-related fatalities every year, advocates say no female construction workers are known to have died on any job in New York. And whether you are a U.S. citizen or you're living and working in the United States without documentation, you have the right to a safe workplace and the right to compensation if you're injured in a construction work site accident, particularly in New York State. And as I said, if you are an immigrant or you are undocumented, you would need the services of a fantastic personal injury construction accident team and an equally fantastic immigration team to make sure your rights are fully protected. And that's what you have at Spar and Bernstein. And the immigrant of the day is Dr. Geeta Rao Gupta of India. Dr. Geeta Rao Gupta grew up in India, Mumbai, and Delhi. She attended the University of Delhi and Bangalore University. In 1985, she and her family moved from India to the United States. She spent many years working for the International Center for Research on Women and has become an internationally known leader in gender equality and women's economic security. And along the way, she has become a naturalized United States citizen. And on July 11th, as Dr. Gupta was sworn in as the U.S. ambassador on global women's issues, her daughter tweeted, 38 years after we arrived from India to the United States, the vice president swore in my mother, Geeta Gupta, to ambassador on global women's issues, with my father holding her copy of the U.S. Constitution. So much work to do, but it was an inspiring day for women, girls around the world, and for immigrant families. And over the next few weeks, Dr. Gupta will be traveling to Nairobi, Kenya, and Rwanda in connection with her new role. Congratulations, Dr. Gupta. And that, my friends, my squad, is the schmooze of the day. We are going to be getting into your immigration questions very, very soon. But right now, I do want to bring your attention to one of our great success stories, Dale Cole. And I want you to know we're about to make everybody hungry right now. I caught up with a Spar and Bernstein client, Dale Cole, who is the co-owner of Daps Eats Eatery in Harlem. And Dale came to the United States from Jamaica at the age of 16, looking for better opportunities for his future. And after living undocumented in America for over 15 years, Spar and Bernstein was finally able to obtain a green card for Dale, which allowed him to open up his very first authentic Jamaican restaurant without fear of being taken advantage of or perhaps being even put in deportation. And Dale invited me to lunch, and over a feast of jerk chicken, oxtail stew, curry goat, shrimp linguine, and a lot more, Dale spoke about what it was like working with Spar and Bernstein. Let's watch. Hey, Brad Squad. I got out of the office to visit one of my clients, Dale Cole, who got his green card from Jamaica, and now he opened up a restaurant, Daps Eats, right here on 125th Street in Harlem.
You know, growing up, you always seek for a better way out, and whichever way you get here, that's how we get here, you know. It wasn't that easy. You have to learn on your own.
Go home, you get your green card, come back, and now you're a business owner.
Yes,
you're the American dream.
but you're my lawyer.
I'd give you 10 stars.
You're my lawyer. I mean,
this is amazing.
You're not just my immigration law, for anything, whatever case it may be.
Right.
I go to Spar and Bernstein. He's been a support, he's been a family. He keeps you in tune, with up to date. He doesn't give you something that he's not sure of.
Congratulations to you from being a 16-year-old kid with basically came here by yourself with nothing in your pocket to now having a green card, a family, children, your own restaurant that hopefully, ultimately, you're going to franchise out, and you're going to even be selling your special sauce in every supermarket around the country.
Most of all, thanks to you for making it happen. It was with your help which brought me to this far, and I really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to great and many more things with you, Brad.
If there is a lesson to be learned, because it took you 15 years to get your green card, or 18 years.
Yes.
Was it about 15, 18 years?
About 15, 18, yeah.
Yeah, to get your green card. If there's anything to learn from this, it's perseverance.
Perseverance.
And
yes.
Congratulations to you. Amazing.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and when you're looking for an immigration lawyer, remember to choose attorneys who will care for you and make sure that no stone is left unturned in your case. And you can send us a private message, or you can call us today at 1-800-529-5465, international 212-227-3636 to start your family's immigration case. You could also go to our website at www.lawsb.com. And there's lots of different ways on our website to get in touch with us. And you can even leave your WhatsApp number, and we will communicate with you through WhatsApp. So there's lots of ways to reach us. There's no excuse not to call. Today, Dale is able to travel freely. He's proudly a co-owner of a business, all because of my law office, Spar and Bernstein, got him his green card when he was turned down by many other lawyers. So I look forward to hearing from you too. But right now, we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of our show. That's when you call me and I speak to you. Let's do it. All right, Chris, you're on. How are you?
Hey, Brad, how are you?
Good. What can I do to help you?
Hi, yes. So I have a BAWA case approved on November 2021. Then I had a hearing with the judge in
So you're in removal.
June. Yes, I was in removal proceedings.
Why you're in removal proceedings?
Because I crossed the border illegally, so I was seeking asylum.
Okay.
In the U.S.
Mm-hmm. So if you have your VAWA approved, then the judge can't deport you. So your case should be terminated.
No. Mm-hmm.
What's going on with the judge?
June 30th came on, and the judge approved my 845. I went to the InfoPass appointment a couple of weeks later, but I haven't heard nothing from them ever since.
You mean the 485?
Yes.
Because it takes a lot of time between the time the judge approves something and you actually get your green card in your hand, although you're a lawful permanent resident since the day the judge granted it. When was it granted?
It was granted last year, June 30th, 2022.
All right. And still you haven't gotten anything. What happens when you went down to the local office?
I went down there and they just said like, oh yeah, it's not going to take that long. I requested a stamp on my passport, thankfully. If not, I would have been screwed.
You have a stamp in your passport, right?
Yes, I do.
All right. So I would wait till the end of the year. Okay. When is the stamp up in your passport?
October.
Okay. So you don't.
October 13th.
Well, I would wait till the end of the year go down and get another stamp, make another inquiry, unfortunately. If by the end of the year, you're now at a year and a half and they still haven't mailed you your green card, I think you're perfectly legitimate time to file or a threat of a mandamus to force them to do their job. Because it shouldn't take them more than 18 months, even with all the delays between the courts, to get you a green card, because that's crazy. But
Yeah,
you do have the stamp in your passport. So, I mean, you are legal, you are resident, you can travel, but it's annoying to go back and forth, and you want to feel that security of having that green card in your hands. I get it. But I would wait till the end. Go down, make a new appointment, get another stamp, make a big stink. Where's my green card? Blah, blah, blah. If Christmas rolls around, you still don't have it, contact me in January. We'll do a mandamus and we'll get it for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right, good luck. All right, let's go to Paul in the Bronx.
Hey, Brad, how are you doing, Brad?
Hi, how are you?
Oh, my cousin asked me to call you. He filed a VAWA case 2020, and he just got approved. Not approved. He just got back from the immigrants. They asked for IRC.
Oh, okay. So he's not been approved. He got a request for evidence. What is he missing?
Yeah, so he said it in, but they just contacted him after like 140 days and said they just started working on his paper. So you want to know what that means?
Well, if I don't know what the RFE was for.
Oh, I think it was for tax, man and wife or something like that.
Tax. If he's filing a VAWA, the taxes have nothing to do with it. It depends. I don't know what the RFE was for.
No, the RFE was like they said they didn't see where him and his wife filed, but he go and get a.
I guess they asked for. I guess they were asking for proof of the bona fides of the marriage between he and his wife.
Yes. No, there was a tax.
Has he filed an adjustment application to get a work permit and travel?
I think so.
All right. At this point, there's nothing to do. At this point, there's nothing. Yeah. I would say at this point, there's nothing to do but wait. The VAWA case is taking over 3 years right now. So he filed in 2021. There's really nothing to do until 3 years passes, and they still haven't made a decision yet. But when he gets to sometime in 2024, if there's no decision, tell him to contact us. I would have to review his file and see what he submitted. If he has an approvable case. And, because a lot of times you file an adjustment and then you're missing documents and the case doesn't even process in the first year while the RFP is pending. So I don't know what the RFP was. Tax return. But tell him there's nothing to do until the 3 year mark.
I think they said him and his wife never filed 2007.
I understand that, but that's not an RFE. They may ask an RFE to submit proof of the bona fides of the marriage, but I've never seen an RFE on a VAWA says, send me a tax return. It doesn't happen.
Oh.
Well, I'm not sure what's going on, but tell him after 3 years he hasn't heard to call me, or if he's concerned he doesn't know what the heck's going on at all, he would need to have a consultation with me. But honestly, I can't give you more advice than that without looking at his whole record. All right, hold on.
Okay, I'll let you know.
All right. Mohammed in Philadelphia.
Hi, Mr. Bernstein. Thank you for having me. I have a question regarding immigration.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. So I'm here in the U.S. on a J1 visa, and I'm planning to get married to a U.S. citizen. Mm-hmm. I have a 2-year home residency rule on my J1 visa, and my J1 visa expires next year in June end. Is there a way I can get a waiver on the 2-year home rule residency and get a status change?
Yeah. Well, what is it that you're coming here to do? Let's start with there. What were you doing on your J visa?
I am here on J1 clinical. I'm doing residency work here.
You're doing residency work.
It's a clinical residency. I'm a doctor.
As a medical doctor. Yeah. So it's very difficult to get a 2-year home residence waiver, no objection letter. The government's not going to approve those. So you have two choices. Obviously, you can go work in a medically underserved area, in a rural area, and get a waiver that way. Or alternatively, you can file an adjustment application and an application for a waiver based on extreme hardship to your wife, that if you and her would be separated for 2 years, she would suffer an extreme hardship. You're not going to get a no objection letter as a medical doctor.
Got it. Okay.
So your choice is working in a medically underserved area and go that route as a general practitioner. Do a Conrad 20 waiver, or which I'm sure you're aware of, or the route, if you're not going to do it through your professional credentials, would be to file a marriage adjustment with an extreme hardship waiver to your wife. I do that all the time. Many times they're approved. So I think maybe that would be a good possibility for you.
Okay. So regarding the first option that you gave regarding serving in an underserved area, for my training, it's a catch over here because I have only 1 year of training and I won't be getting like a full license if I am not in a full training program.
All right. So then that wouldn't work out for you. So then you have no choice other than to file the adjustment with the extreme hardship waiver.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much, Mr. Bernstein.
All right. If you need help, hold on one second. I'll be happy to talk to you off the air.
Thank you so much. Yeah, sure.
Let's go to Tatiana in San Francisco. Tatiana.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah,
Hi, how are you?
that's me. Hello. I'm good. My issue is with my daughter. I brought her here when she was 16 years old. It happened in 2017. And our lawyer, she dropped us later. She said that there is not a big issue if she will overstay her requirement at that time, required time. Because
I misunderstood wait, I'm having trouble hearing you. You brought your daughter over at 16, and what type of visa did she come here on?
She come on the tourist visa and on
where's she from? Where's she from?
From Russia.
From Russia. Okay. And what is your status?
I'm a legal resident.
How did you get your green card?
I married to American citizen.
And how old is your daughter now?
She's 22 right now.
And what, if anything, between 16 and 22 have you done to help your daughter get a green card?
I applied for her visa, like not family reunion, but something which you can do, like for residents and for resident.
What kind of visa? What kind of visa did you apply for?
I think it's I-130.
Okay, so who filed that? You or your spouse?
Me.
How come your spouse didn't do it? Because he was the citizen.
Our lawyer at that time said that would be better. It would be faster.
You filing as a permanent resident faster than a U.S. citizen spouse filing?
I filed.
Well, let me ask you this question. When did you get married to this man? Was she over 18 at that point?
No, she was, when we married, she was 15.
Your lawyer gave you really bad advice. All your husband needed to do was file an I-130 before she was 21, and she would be eligible to adjust her status and get a green card here. So I don't understand.
Yeah, just the problem is that what happened on the border, she said, I'm going to live with my mom and dad, right? And they put in her passport the mark that she has an intention to stay. And when we fill this petition for her, they assign us to get an interview in Russia, but something crazy started happening political-wise.
You can't go back to Russia for it. And just because wow, okay. Number one, just because they say at the airport, they probably wrote in her passport, no AOS, EOS, extension of status, adjustment of status, change of status, COS. Who cares what they wrote? You still can file an adjustment application. She should have. And now she can't. Oh, this is very frustrating to listen to because you got the world's worst advice I've ever heard in my entire life. All right. First of all, your daughter comes at age 16. Okay. Yeah. There's no misrepresentation issues because she's 16 years old. If they write no adjustment of status, no extension of status, it doesn't matter what they say at the airport. She's allowed to do it anyway. And your husband should have just filed an adjustment application, had 5 years to do this. Now your daughter, who's 22 years old, was filed for by a mother. There's no U.S. embassy in Moscow to go back to because the U.S. and Russia don't have any relations anymore. Everyone from Russia has to go to Poland, or I think it's Kazakhstan.
And Poland closed too.
Okay, so or it's Poland or Kazakhstan, I believe. But she now needs a provisional waiver to go home and come back. Just like a disaster of a case. Hold on one second. You're going to need a consultation. We're going to have to figure this out. All right, hold on. Wow, terrible advice. Rebecca in Austin, Texas.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Brad? My question is, I actually got two questions. So the first question is, my fiance who was in Haiti, I did the fiance visa for him, and then I also did the Biden program for him.
Right.
So got approved for the Biden.
Right.
He actually here.
Good.
So while he was here, approved our fiance visa. Our application got approved. My question is, since it's approved, are we able to get married and adjust the status? Are we able to do that?
Yes, don't send him back to Haiti for anything. He goes back to Haiti, it's disaster. Okay, disaster.
Okay.
Appointment there.
Okay.
Even there's like nobody working in the embassy in Haiti, literally. Okay?
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are people working there, but it's so skeletal staff.
Yeah,
possible.
That's what
Be happy the man's here. Don't send him home. For any visa processing in Haiti. Okay? Disaster there. Get married to him. You're a U.S. citizen. Just marry him. He was paroled in the U.S. You'll adjust his status here.
Awesome. And my other question to that, since he do have his work authorization and his Social Security, with the program.
Right.
When I do the adjustment of status, am I requesting everything all over, like the Social Security and
you're requesting a new work permit for him?
I'm sorry?
You're requesting a new work permit for him, yes, but you don't request a new Social Security number. It's the same Social Security number.
Oh, okay, awesome. And what about the biometrics? Since he already did one for the work authorization, will he need to do another biometric component?
Probably not, but if they call him, big deal.
Awesome, thank you. And I know they said, do we have to wait 90 days or is it 91 days? I know they said the fiance visa is 90 days. How long will we have to wait for?
How long has he been here in the United States?
He came in April. So it's May, June, July. July 7th actually made 3 months since he's been here with the program.
Get married. Go get married.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Go get married, file the adjustment. You're all good.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Nevid in Naperville, Illinois. Oh, Neverid.
Hi.
Excuse me. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm good, Brad. So I have a question regarding applying for naturalization. So I'm a green card holder, married to a U.S. citizen, and I have a 10-year green card. So my question is, when I originally applied for I-485, I did not said yes to the question where it says, were you ever cited? Because I received 3 minor traffic violations prior to applying for green card. One of them was in Texas. Now I'm Illinois. So that citation was regarding violation of driver's license restriction because I was not having a 21 years old passenger sitting on the front seat. And when I got the citation, it was dismissed because before, by the within a couple of months, I got that restriction removed. So the case was closed. And when that was the first citation. And the second one was in Illinois, and the third one was also Illinois.
All right, let me make this suggestion to you. All right. If it's just traffic infractions, you don't have anything to worry about. You can just fix it at the time of the interview. If it's something more than traffic infractions, then, you may have an issue. What I would suggest is, it sounds like traffic to me, but if you want me to be certain, have a consultation with me, send me the dispositions, and I'll tell you whether you have a problem or not. And if you don't have a problem, what you're going to do is at the time of the interview, just say, hey, I had these 3 traffic infractions I forgot to mention on my form. If it's important, I have these records. period.
All right. Those are the only three,
Yeah.
citations ever.
Well, I don't know, because you say citation. If it's a traffic violation, it's no big deal. If it's something more than that, then it's a big deal. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean by citation. So unless I would actually.
I mean only traffic violations. Like
Okay, so if it's traffic, if you're certain it's a traffic violation, then I just told you what to do.
All right. Thank you, Brad.
You're very welcome.
Bye.
All right, let's go to Peter in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Hi, Peter.
Hi.
Peter, you're up. It's your time. Let's go.
Hey, good evening, Brad.
Good evening.
And thank you for doing that for so long time.
My pleasure.
And I have two questions. And the first one is, if you are a lawful permanent resident and you have one DUI on your record, can you visit Canada for a short stay, like 1 week visit to Canada?
What do you mean you have one? What's a TBI?
The DUI.
Oh, DUI.
Yes, sir.
If it's what state?
Maryland. That happened in Maryland.
If it's a DUI, it is not generally an inadmissible offense. But each state what they label DUI and DWI is a little different. DWI is more problematic. What I would suggest you do is, it sounds like you're going to be okay. So my first reaction is DUI is always okay. DWI is not okay for traveling. But if you want to be certain about it, let me look at the disposition, make sure I see exactly what you pled guilty to before you travel. But I would say, as a general rule, DUI is okay, DWI is not.
Okay. And my last question, thank you very much, Brad. And my last question is if you are qualified for apply for the citizenship with a 2 years old DUI, can you apply?
Well, DUI is not good moral character for citizenship. So if you're basing it on marriage, you would need to be 3 years clear from the DUI before filing for your citizenship.
Is it 3 years or 5 years? Sorry for.
If you're basing it on a bona fide marriage to a U.S. citizen, it's 3 years. It's 3 years.
Oh, okay.
When was the DUI?
It happened like almost 3 years ago, but due to COVID and everything,
right. It's when everything was resolved. 3 years from when it was all resolved. That's when you file your citizenship.
When it was resolved at the court.
Correct.
That was less than a year.
Okay. Yeah. So unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome. Let's go to Najib in Atlanta. Najib.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
Good. What can I do to help?
Hey, Brad. How are you? Hey, I just went for my interview, the N400 citizenship, and I got denied. The reason I was denied is the officer asked me when did I came to America, and I told him I came back in 2006 on a B1, B2 visa to visit my father. And during the time, my father let me stay with him, and he said, "Don't worry about it, son. I'm gonna apply the I-130." But he asked a lawyer, and the lawyer told him, "Hey, just wait till you get a citizenship and apply for your son the I-130." And it took him 3 years to get the citizenship, and I was like 21 and 4 months. Then I waited without the status. 7 years later, they called me for the interview with my father. I went to the interview. They approved the 485. They gave me a permit. The
green card.
Work permit.
What's the problem?
No, the work permit. The work permit, and then I get the green card.
What's the problem?
And the problem is the officer at the interview when I did my citizenship, he said, "Well, I don't believe you're supposed to be here." I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Well, I mean, you passed the test, but I will inform you in 2 weeks your notice." And I received the notice. They say, what they said? They said, I'm not eligible.
We're not eligible to adjust your status?
Correct, yeah. So what can I do right now?
Were you not eligible because You were over
was
21 when your father filed the I-130. You were not 245I.
Correct. Yeah, they approved the 485 and they approved everything.
Well, all right. So step one is for me to review your records and make a determination whether or not you were eligible to adjust your status. And if you were not eligible, if you were eligible under other avenues to adjust your status. And then step two, if you were not, is you're going to need to file a waiver to fix the problem. It's usually done with an immigration judge. But let's go.
Is it too late to file the waiver, or it's too? I mean, I got the green card for 6 years now.
No, it's never too late. Hold on one second. Also, in certain jurisdictions, not Georgia, but in other jurisdictions, if you adjusted your status incorrect and they did it incorrectly and it's more than 5 years, they can't do anything about it anyway. And you are eligible to become a citizen. So again, let's figure it out. So for example, if you lived in New Jersey, you would be a citizen.
I was living in Louisiana, and everything happened in Louisiana. And after I got my green card, I moved to Georgia 5 years ago.
Right, so this is what we need to do. Number one, let me look at the records and see if immigration's right. If they're right, let's see if you were eligible to adjust your status under a different law. If you were, then no harm, no foul. 3, if you were not eligible, immigration's right, you weren't eligible under any other law to adjust your status, can you do a waiver now? And 4, if you can't do a waiver or you don't want to do a waiver for whatever reason, can you move to a state that 5-year statute of limitations applies? And if it's more than 5 years, they can't do anything about it anyway and have to make you a citizen.
Correct.
So hold on one second. All right. So there's options.
Brad, I also want to mention, I'm Christian Palestinian, and Palestine doesn't have a state, so we are stateless.
Right.
And all my family is a citizenship, and I just got married to a green card holder last year.
You're not getting deported. Don't worry.
There is no way for me to go overseas. I've been here. You're not.
Take a deep breath. You're not getting deported. It'll be fixable.
So I need a consultation, or what I need to do?
A consultation. Hold on. Let's go to Atembe in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Atembe.
Hi, Brent. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
What's your question?
My question is, I applied for TPS, and I got a letter from the immigration saying that my last name is different from the ID in my country. So what can I do to fix that?
Well, why is your last name different than your ID? Let's get to the bottom of this.
Okay, my first name is Atembe and my last name is Atabon. So when they were doing my birth certificate for back home, they make an error and switch it, like my first name is Atabon instead of Atembe. They just switch it around.
Okay. All right. So we'll just get affidavits from a bunch of people that it was switched around and this is your real name.
Okay. Now I have a court on declaration, because back home in my country, when you make your birth certificate, they have like a court declaration for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's fixable. You just get a bunch of people who knew you from birth and say, this is who you are.
Yeah. On that court declaration, it says my real name, like Atembe Irene Atabon, like the real.
Yeah, we're gonna
can I use that one?
Yes, but it's not enough. We are going to use that plus at least 3 affidavits from people who know you from birth that this is your name. Okay.
Okay. Do the people have to live here in America or from back home?
They could be back home, but preferably here in America because they're more verifiable. Hold on one second.
Okay, perfect.
Let's go to Sid in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Sid.
Oh, yeah. Hello. Hello,
Hi,
Brian.
Sid. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah. I just have 2 quick questions in one. So, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. What is your question, Sid?
Yeah, I wanted to file for my daughter that has been living with us based on the approved VAWA case. So the question I have is, do I need to resend all the evidence that I've already sent in, because almost everything that pertains to her has been sent to them in the first place? Then the other question is,
I'm confused. Let's go back to your daughter. You got your green card through VAWA, and now you want to file for your daughter?
no, only for now approved VAWA case.
Wow. Where is your daughter?
She's here in the U.S.
Okay, so now you're going to file an adjustment application for yourself and for her, correct?
Yeah, I'll submit the application for I-485 included with the 360.
Okay, so now you just want to, okay. So all you have to do for your daughter is file an adjustment with a copy of the approved I-360 and proof that she's your daughter. You don't have to submit all the evidence again.
Yeah, okay. Then the final one, this is the forward. Am I going to file with the Vermont or the Nebraska, the Johnson 2, or I will just file the normal one, send the normal lockbox?
Normal lockbox.
Normal lockbox. Okay, and your office can help with that if we need the help, right?
Absolutely. Hold on one second. Let's go to Nardia in West Palm. Nardia.
Yes.
Hey, how are you?
Yes. Good afternoon, Brad. I got a question. My daughter have a friend that they used to go to school, but the dad sent her back to Jamaica. She has a green card. She's 16 years old, and she sent her down back in December. She's asking what can she do to get back here.
Where's her green card? The dad has it?
The dad have the green card. The dad
so
never give her the green card.
Does she have a passport?
Yeah, she have a Jamaican passport.
All right. So someone has to walk her into the embassy, explain the situation. She has a green card. Her dad stole it from her. Her dad took it away, and she's going back to live with another relative, and she needs something to return to the United States. She never wanted to move back to Jamaica.
Okay, so just
something in her passport. Let the mother bring her.
Yes, the mom. Okay, then.
All
Yeah,
right.
because she just said to ask. Because
They'll give her something to return to the U.S. as long as she does it before she's 18 or close or a little after 18.
Right. Yeah. No, she just turned 16-year-old.
Fine.
So
Fine. Perfectly fine.
all right.
Give her something.
Thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Brad.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So that is our meat and potatoes for the day. And I have to remind everybody, if you didn't get your immigration questions asked and answered, you could always follow me on Instagram at Real Brad Bernstein. If you follow me on Instagram at Real Brad Bernstein, you can drop me a DM. I'll try to answer your question. You can also join our subscription page, and just for a couple bucks, you can leave all the questions you want, and I'll give you a personalized video answering all your questions. You can also follow us on Instagram at Brad Show Live. You can't handle 2 hours of my show, but like 30 minutes or 30 seconds of it. See all the best clips on Instagram from Brad Show Live at Brad Show Live. And you could also follow me on TikTok, our fastest growing social media platform. You follow us on TikTok. You could also leave your immigration question, but there's no guarantee I see it because I get so many there. But I may answer it. I may not, depending on if I see it or not. But there's a lot of good content there as well. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter. If you at Brad Show Live, or what they call now X, whatever that is. And if you are watching right now on Facebook and YouTube, please remember to subscribe and follow us and hit the subscription bell and make sure that you are notified every time we come on live. And later in the show, I am going to be answering questions viewers are writing in the comments in our social media check-in segment. But right now, I do want to remind everybody that Spar and Bernstein is not just immigration, but we also handle personal injury claims as well. And recently, I've been talking about medical malpractice cases. Today, I'm going to explain how unreasonable delay and wrongful drug administration is defined in a medical malpractice case, as well as what informed consent and your rights as a patient are. Let's watch. Unreasonable delay in a medical malpractice claim includes any unnecessary delays by the doctor or medical staff that leads to unacceptable medical care. If you were injured by a medical professional, a knowledgeable medical malpractice attorney will investigate the details of your injury and provide recommendations on next steps. Wrongful drug administration includes prescribing the wrong medication, the wrong dosage, the wrong combination of medications, and or the wrong method of administering the drug. An experienced medical malpractice attorney will look into your case and choose the best grounds to pursue maximum compensation for your injury. As a patient, you have the right to know everything regarding your medical treatment. You are also permitted to refuse treatment by law. If you believe your doctor proceeded against your will, you can hold the doctor legally liable for medical malpractice. At Spar and Bernstein, we offer a free initial consultation to research your case and provide legal advice to determine your options. All right, we're going to get into our speed round. Let's do it. No. Why did I say speed round? I was looking at this. I was looking at the list of things we had to talk about, and I was on the wrong page. My fault. We're going into social media check-in, and of course, we always answer our social media check-in with VIP questions from our VIP Facebook page. And those VIPs always go to the front of the line. It's like boarding the airplane first. Jessica Leamy, Joel Davis asks, Uncle Brad, I-130 is already approved. The beneficiary is in the United States. The adjustment of status has been filed for 8 months. The fingerprints are done. The I-130 approval was sent to the MVC. What can the petitioner or the beneficiary do? Well, if the adjustment of status has already been filed, I don't know why the I-130 was sent to the National Visa Center, but if the adjustment of status has been filed 8 months, then everything seems like it's okay. You have an approved I-130. They should schedule an interview. I think you're okay. I don't think there's anything to do other than if you want to, you can write the National Visa Center and ask them to transfer the file back to USCIS because you're adjusting status. And Ish Les asks, I'm living as a resident in the United States, 55 years, convicted of conspiracy to distribute. I'm an aggravated felon. Can I apply for citizenship if I'm married to an American-born citizen? The conviction is 1990. I did 4 years. I appealed the deportation, overturned 212C, living in the United States. If your conviction was before November 17th, 1990, you can file your citizenship. If your conviction was after November 17th, 1990, then aggravated felons are barred from becoming a citizen. If the conviction was before November 17th, 1990, then you're eligible for citizenship. You have 5 years good moral character. They can't do anything to you because they already put you in deportation and you got your waiver and you will become a U.S. citizen. Fiona Thompson asks a question. Hi, Brad. My I-360 has been approved since April. How long does it take for the I-45 and work permit to be approved? At least 12 months from the time of the I-360 approval. Zayed Asuma asks, hi, Uncle Brad. Can I extend the DS 2019 while having pending I-45? And if so, will it have any impact on my 485? It has no impact on your I-45. You don't have to extend it. You have an adjustment pending. DS 219 is for processing in another country. Excuse me. And Nitu Shan says, what are the court documents enough to evaluate immigration consequences for naturalization purposes and outside of the U.S. travel? I'm in New York. Dispositions. Are you talking about for criminal records? They're going to want dispositions and charging documents. And for time outside of the U.S., they're going to want stamps in your passport. All right, let's go to our comment section and see who's commenting with immigration questions. All right, we're going to start with AA. Hello, I was wondering if you could apply for a U visa without the supplement B. The prosecutor said their office only signs if the case is 5 years or under. They said it wasn't. If it wasn't the issue, they would sign. No, you need a law enforcement letter. But if the prosecutor's office won't sign it, go to the police. Maybe they'll sign it. Natal Picks with a question. Hi, Brad. Just my medical RFU was delivered the last week based on a USPS app and signed by someone working at the Atlanta field office. So no update in online. Do you think they received the RFE? If it was delivered and signed, yes, I believe they did. Farouk. Hi, Brad. How you doing? I have a question about SIDGE. I got the court order and filed the I-360. What about waiting times? About how many months should I wait? Well, I-360 juveniles are in the fourth preference category, and unfortunately, there's a big waiting list now. So who knows? It'll be a bit of a time. But as long as your I-360 is filed before you're 21, you will get a green card no matter when you file your adjustment application. Sun Silk Roa, can I ask, sir, if the Social Security number is permanent number, or can it change? No, if you get a Social Security number, that's your number for life. It never changes. Emily Marshall asks, if an applicant selected number 61 on the I-40, selected number for 61 on I-45, are you subject to the public charge ground of inadmissibility? If you answered yes, you'll be denied. So you would say no. It would be the answer. PAS 335I. So her using her Social Security with her visa is expired. So now she's illegal, but we just sent the paperwork and everything to the attorney, and he says she can work. That shouldn't prevent her. If you have a Social Security number and you are married to a U.S. citizen and you are adjusting your status, you can work. Not legally. You're not working legally. But the fact that you work, the fact that you're paying taxes, you're even working on the books, it's not going to prevent you from getting a green card. Mass. I'm an OPT. I'll be out of status in 2 months. If I apply for TPS today, will I maintain my status starting today or starting the date when they approve the application, let's say in 3 months? As long as it is filed before your OPT is expired, you will maintain your status. Karen Tracy, hi Brad, please answer this question. We were in the USA for 4 months from December 21 to May 2022 on a B1 visa and came back in September 22 on a J1. How soon after the J1 ends can we travel back to the USA on our visitor's visa? USA for 4 months till May 22 and on a B1 and then back September 22 on a J. You can come back relatively soon as long as it's for a very short period of time. Lara Halta, my N400 is denied because I didn't apply for a waiver. I came on a B2 visa, was unmarried, son over 21, waited years. It's USCIS mistake to give me LPR. How can they safely save LPR? I don't know enough about your case, Lara, what waiver you're talking about. We would need to talk more. Nick Gardner, I'm planning to visit this August, but last year I spent 94 days on my B1. I'm planning to spend 15 days. Will it pose a problem to CBP and Jamaican military? I think 94 days in 1 year and then coming back this August for 15 days is fine. As long as you have a return plane ticket, I don't think you're going to have any problem. Andrew Lopez, my boyfriend bring me here and after that used me as a home servant and work for him without pay in his uncal business. Can I apply for T visa? Yes, that's indentured servitude. You can absolutely apply for a T visa, and you should. Esangwa Toja, any pathway from TPS to green card? Family, job sponsorship, investment, refugee asylum, visa lottery. All the pathways that everyone else has. Victoria. Hi, Brad. When can I apply for work permit for my husband after filing for the I-130, which just sent no response? Well, are you a U.S. citizen? Is your husband here? Have you filed an adjustment application? I need to know a lot more. Let's see who else we have here. A Square. If a petitioner green card expires and is awaiting citizenship approval, can the recipient of an approved petition do an adjustment of status? If a petitioner green card expires, yes, as long as you're in legal status and you're married to a resident, just because their green card expired and is awaiting citizenship, you can file adjustment if you're in legal status and married. Any topic goes. Okay, let's hear the topic. I filed for U visa 2018. I got 4-year BFD work permit and deferred action. Do you know when I'll get a U visa? They're about 10 years backed up, so 2028. Double A. Hi, Brad. If a petitioner green card expires and awaiting citizenship, can the recipient of the approved petition do an adjustment? I just answered that. Double A. John. Hi, Brad. Can you go back home if your asylum is denied by asylum office while on F1 visa but got green card later on employment? You can go home, but there's always questions going to be asked. So, I would not do it until I'm a citizen personally. Anila. I got first misdemeanor in my life when I had oath ceremony after I got denied my U.S. citizenship. I've done all my 365 probation. I just have a question. When will I be eligible for reapply again? I would need to know a lot more about your misdemeanor and how long ago this happened and what it was for. Generally speaking, though, it's 5 years after your probation is up, maybe before if we talk. Danish. Oh, people trying to get me hungry here for dinner time. My asylum BIA appeal is administratively closed. Can we reopen and terminate my case based on VAWA? Yes, if your VAWA is approved, you would reopen the case, then terminate it, and then file an adjustment in that order. Hamdallah Utan. My son is in the military and already a citizen. I am not allowed to work based on my visa type. Is there any provision for me to get a work permit? If you're in the United States and your son is in the military, you can get parole in place and then adjust your status and get your green card provided your son's over 21. Midnight Simple. Hi, Brad. I overstayed. Can my mom, a U.S. citizen, file for me? Yes. If you're over 21, it's going to be 7 to 9 years. Assuming you're single, then you'll probably have to do a waiver, go home and come back, but maybe you're 245I. Alicia. Hi, Brad. My fiance for 3 years is sick. Sorry to hear that. I came here on my sister's visa and I don't have any port of entry. Can I get my green card if I'm married to my fiance? Yes, you would have to show your legal entry as your sister and then file a waiver based on your spouse's sickness. Anand Body. Hi, Brad. I have I-360 approved, but I'm currently residing in my home country. Can I apply for humanitarian parole to get in? Secondly, timeline for council processing. If you're from one of the countries that gets humanitarian parole, you can. If not, I doubt they will give it to you. So the timeline for processing once it's approved, hopefully, depending on what country you are, is 12 to 18 months. Kitchia Scott, I'm an adult in the USA. Can my mother petition and adjust my status here? She can petition for you, but you're not going to be eligible for your green card for 7 to 9 years, and who knows whether you'll be able to adjust or not. Maybe yes, maybe no. JG, how can I pass the moral character requirements for a VAWA application if I what? I don't know what you did. Oh, if I have a past conviction from 2008. Well, law doesn't say you have to be a person of good moral character for your entire life. It just says at the present time. So 2008 was a long time ago. So you have no record in the last 15 years and you're otherwise a good person. Hopefully the 2008 case was not a big deal. Mafuk Alamari submitted my I-45 and I-130 today with as much evidence as I can. How long is it taking these days to get a green card? Over a year. Sean. Hi, Bradalicious. Thanks for the good job you are doing. How long does it take for an I-45 to be approved after interview was done in January? Well, assuming everything is good, you should have had a green card. So maybe they don't believe it was a good marriage. Probably do a Stokes interview at this point. Maybe your fingerprints didn't clear, but it should have been done by now. Yvonne, hello. I've been waiting for my VAWA application. It's a little over 2 years since I applied. How much longer do I have to wait? Well, I didn't do it, but VAWA applications are taking on average about 3.5 years now. Judy, is a restraining order good evidence for VAWA? Yes, it shows that your husband had to be restrained from getting in contact with you because he was going to physically hurt you. Yes, that's good evidence. Sharon Thomas, hi, Brad. If a father citizen filed for his daughter F3 in 2010, they are now documentally approved, but the older child is aged out. He just turned 23. What are his options? Well, there's something called Child Status Protection Act. So we would have to see if he falls under the Child Status Protection Act. And Lucita Charlemagne asks a question. How long does it take to get a green card when a U.S. citizen files for an I-130 for your single adult child? 7 to 9 years. Esmond, how can I put my granddaughter on their parents' filing? Write her name on the application. Ishan Shrishta, can I apply for EB3 if my asylum case is pending in asylum office? Yes, you can. Misty, hi, Brad. I'm here on a visitor's visa from 2019. My daughter's sick and she passed away, left her son. He was born here. I got custody of him. How can I get an adjustment of status? Oh, well, that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. You're not going to get to adjust your status because you're taking care of a child as his guardian. but we can talk about other options perhaps. Farouk. Hi, Brad. How are you? I got my court order for my SIJ status. I'm waiting on my I-360 nowadays. How long does it take to get the results? Is there any hope to get a green card this year? Well, I would have told you 4 months ago there's hope to get a green card this year, but now that priority dates are backed up to 2018, unfortunately, you're going to have a bit of a wait for SIJ. Abby Love. Hello, Brad. My father was deported in 2012 due to absentia. Can I apply for him to come back? This was in 2011 since the order removed. Can he do a waiver? Depends what happened. I would have to review his records. Maybe yes, maybe no. Francis Ndanga. How to extend your stay in the USA after 1 year on a J1 visa is over and you have a 2-year rules to go back to your home country. Well, you got a waiver first for the J visa. That's number one. All right. And that is our social media check-in for the day. I think I got to everybody's questions. If I didn't, you could always call my office to schedule a consultation with me at 1-800-529-5465. Now, last week I spoke with Rashwan Abdelbaki, an award-winning Syrian visual artist, about his immigration journey from Syria to the United States through a fellowship with the Institute of International Education's Artist Protection Fund in January 2017, arriving in America just 1 week before the Trump administration's travel ban was put into effect. Rashwan is now a green card holder, and today we'll talk about how his immigration experience is reflected in his art and his message to other immigrants navigating the U.S. immigration system. Let's watch. Rashwan Abdelbaki is an award-winning Syrian visual artist who has been based in the New York area since January 2017. Arriving in America just 1 week before the Trump administration's travel ban was put into effect. Rashwan joins me to discuss his experience immigrating to the United States of America, his home country of Syria, and how his identity as a Syrian artist based in America is reflected in his work. Thank you very much for joining me, Rashwan. I really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Happy to be with you.
My pleasure. So let's discuss your art a little bit. You work in the medium of printmaking, acrylic on canvas. You are obviously have extraordinary ability. The U.S. government, USCIS says you have extraordinary ability. You've reached to the highest level, the top of the top, and you have this recurring character that comes throughout all of your art. It's a face, one person. It looks like they're either blinking or their eye is closed. What is that all about?
My work in the beginning, it was different than painting or the acrylic on canvas. I started this new concept. After the war, I came up with a character. I called it one open eye, one closed eye. What I'm saying as a human, since we're born, we have fears from family, fears from society or community, fears from religion, from God, from government, from politicians. We spend our life to jump out of our fear or find a way to heal from our fears. So I'm saying, because all what we are witnessing now with the violence, with war, I'm saying that we can't sleep in peace. We can't close both of our eyes. We need at least one open eye all the time to be careful.
And what does your work Melting represent?
I started this one when I applied for my green card because you know how much it's a long-term process. I'm saying that this character or waiting make everything melting. The only thing it's still obvious, it's the open eye. And I came the idea because when I applied for my green card, I was asking myself, who is the guy who will decide that I don't know where he is or she is, whether Rashwan will get the green card or not.
I'm going to tell you something. That's a really amazing point. You have this unknown person,
exactly,
in an unknown location that you don't meet, that you don't know their name, you don't know anything about them, and they decide everything about your life. Your life changes completely if you're not granted a green card.
Exactly. So I did the painting, I called them Melting. So I just draw the character while all the details is melting, and stripe became like a barcode because I felt like I'm just a number, like I'm a barcode. I'm checking my visa status every day. I will just save this number and I will see if there's any update for my file or like, and after I get the green card, I start to do the opposite. So I said, I'm going to be optimistic now. I have my green card now, and I want to do something different. As I became now part of this community, I want to do a series called 3 Years in New York, just a sketch of the character, one open eye, one closed eye. And I want to repeat it in different work. And in each work, I want to talk about one of the events that I witnessed since I came to the US. From the wall, to the visa, to a Mueller report, to the mass shooting, to the coronavirus, to the executive order from the former president, Mr. Trump.
So you have in your art your journey to America, your immigration journey. Do you have advice for people who are also right now struggling with their immigration issues?
Oh my God. The only advice is just they need to have patience. Otherwise, overthinking will drive you crazy. So here's the thing. So I was really upset and disappointed from the travel ban. And after that, I get the O1 visa. So I felt, this is the hope. I got my O1 visa, so I can do it. And the O1 visa helped me in one part, just for my art, that I'm able legally to do shows and sell work. But I wasn't able to have a normal job. So I'm accounting completely on selling work to pay my bills, which is hard. It's not easy. I'm in New York. The competition is very high. And there's thousands of talent artists here. So I decided to be just optimistic and have patience and not overthinking, not be angry. Now I'm working in a show called The Equalizer.
By the way, for those who don't know, that's Queen Latifah's hit TV show, The Equalizer, and you are working as a set designer.
They call me a scenic industrial, and hopefully soon, once I take the exam and pass, I will become a scenic. But I'm working for a wonderful charge scenic called Emily Gaunt, and she offered me this job, and I'm so happy because I'm working with a lot of talent artists. And I start working and I joined to the union. Now I'm a union member.
Do you ever think back wow, where I was 5 years ago, and now I'm working on Queen Latifah's on an American hit television show with famous people that I only saw at the news or on TV, and here I am working with them.
Oh, believe me, sometimes I don't believe it. It's just my reward after all this patience. Believe me, it's just because you ask what's the advice. The advice is have patience, because overthinking will drive you crazy and it will not be helpful.
I hope people take what you say to heart, because what you say is true and important.
It's not easy to be optimistic and think positively, but I just try it and it's very helpful.
Where can people find out more about your work, follow you on social media?
My website is my name, www.rashwanabdelbaki.com, and all my social media, it's my first name and my last name, Rashwan Abdelbaki.
And finally, tell me what your American dream is.
I have believed in this nation. I love this country, and I think we are capable, and that's why I wish to see the US not having racism in the US. This is killing the country. And having control for the guns, to stop having mass shooting here in the US. Stop feed the fear-mongering, because it's not helpful. The problem is not the immigrant. And the problem in the system, although some people, they will say the system is broken. Actually, it's not broken. It's working in the same way that designed to work. I think we need to find a new way. There's a new generation in the US. They believe in their country. They believe that we are capable to do better. So very much, this is my American dream. It's not my American dream to have money and become the new Jeff Bezos. It's not.
Well, Rashwan Abdelbaki, thank you very much. Congratulations. Quite a journey from Syria to
Thank you for having
the green card. Congratulations on obtaining your lawful residence, and congratulations on an amazing career that just flourishing and continuing. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're at the point now, we're ready for speed round, where I'm going to answer 10 immigration questions in 50 seconds or less. And if I do, I get a balloon. And if I don't, I get blown up. Doesn't seem like a fair trade-off. But that's what we're going to do. Let's do it. to go. Let's do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Can I go to the U.S. with a UK travel document? You need a visa to go to the U.S. Can a green card holder apply for a fiancé visa? No, you need to be a U.S. citizen. Can a U.S. citizen mother file for her daughter and son-in-law? Yes, it's F3 petition. Can I get a work visa to relocate to America from Ghana? It depends if you qualify. Can I join the Army while undocumented? No, you cannot. How long does it take to file for a spouse in another country? If you're a U.S. citizen, about 2 years. Can I file for my granddaughter in Trinidad? No, but you can be included on the mother's case or father's case. How long does a fiancé visa take? Over a year. How long will it take for a U.S. citizen military soldier to file for his mother in another country? At least 18 to 24 months. Can I get a green card if I buy a house in the U.S.? No, that doesn't get you a green card. Wow, I did it in less than 42 seconds, 43 seconds. I deserve a balloon. There we go. I got a balloon. Woohoo! All right. Right before we come to the end of the show, I get 2 applause. Wow. Right before we come to more balloons, right before we come to the end of the show, we always have to go back and review all the best comments of the day and something we call comments of the day. Let's do it. All right. The first comment of the day comes from John Reed. Uncle Brad is the real big man. He can turn your dreams in reality. You have to have faith alongside determination. Don't matter what the previous lawyer tell you to dampen your dreams. Ooh, very nice, Diane. Thank you very much. Also, a second one from Dion. Uncle Brad will make you see the light at the end of the tunnel. Big up yourself, Uncle Brad. Lots of comments of the day from Dion Reed today. Thank you, Dion. Our next comment today comes from Eleanor Brown. Groundhog Sam is in good mood today, Uncle Brad. How did you get him to talk today? Usually he's asking, why should do it? I'm always doing everything around here. It's very true. You're really watching. All right. And the last comment today comes from Pim Pim. Hey, Sir Brad, thanks for being so amazing. Your advice surely helped my son. Thank you very much, Pim Pim. All right. Those were our comments. We have one more. Hey, Solomon, a very good evening. Squad up another Monday, another episode of Bradshaw Live. Enjoy, guys. We appreciate you so much, Uncle Brad. May God continue to bless you. Thank you very much, Tay Solomon. And I believe that is our comments of the day. And sadly, we have come again to the end of our show. But we will be back next Monday, July 31st at 5 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Mark your calendar. Make sure you subscribe and follow so you can get that little bell when we come on live. And remember to follow us on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter for all our great content, immigration and personal injury and more. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Stay blessed. I'll see you all back on Monday. So, Sam, as part of the production, we have to say this disclaimer at the end of the show. Do you mind reading it for me?
Okay, but you know, Brad, I have to do everything around here.
Forget it. I'll do it. The proceeding was information only and not specific legal advice. Consult an attorney about your individual situation. Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. To make an appointment with the Spar and Bernstein law firm located at 225 Broadway in New York City, call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. Easy to remember, 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-LAWLINK. Once again, make a call to 1-800-529-5465. And of course, link up with the law offices of Spar and Bernstein, located at 225 Broadway on the 5th floor. If I were you out there, make the call, make the link, make the connection, make it Spar and Bernstein. 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-529-5465. And visit us now at our Connecticut office, 221 Main Street, Suite 501, Hartford, Connecticut. Visit us in Connecticut or in New York at 225 Broadway. That's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-LAWLINK, 1-800-529-5465. Really?